bring Faf du Plessis in, mate. Yeah, Faf du Plessis just got 100 and pretty good form, Bernie.
Okay, everyone, welcome back to the Pavilion, the Peel Cricket Show, which is, as usual, proudly supported by our fantastic sponsors in RETRAVISION, ESA Sport and Everlast Sports Drinks. Now, we are very, very privileged to have one of Peel Cricket's finest. We can claim him, WA cricket royalty and current WA coach and victorious Perth Scorchers coach. That's a long title. Adam Voges, welcome to the show, Adam.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you so much for giving up your time and coming on this tiny little podcast show. But I really wanted to connect you with obviously the Peel Cricket, simply because you've got a connection, and you started your junior career, and you started hitting cricket balls and wearing whites and all that sort of stuff at Warnbro Cricket Club. What are your memories of that?
Yeah, it's a long time ago now, but yeah, that's where the journey started for me. My dad was a school teacher, so we moved around a little bit in our early days. But by the time I turned 9 or 10, we settled down in Warnbro and lived not far from the primary school, not far from the Warnbro Rec. And so sport was always a big part of our lives, and in particular cricket. So, yeah, my first memories of going down to Warnbro were as I think a 10-year-old, being able to go down there, worked with some of the coaches, Sid Moss, Trevor Senior, guys who are legends, and I don't use that term sparingly, but of sport down in the Peel area, and certainly at that time, and that was where the journey began. That was the life of a sports mad 10-year-old who couldn't get enough of cricket and footy at that stage.
Yeah, and footy wise would have been waffle in those days. So what was the allegiance in those days? Footy.
South Fremantle. Peel weren't in the comp by that stage, so yeah, very much a red and white man.
And as a Victorian, I'm starting to get a bit of an understanding of the old waffle and how strong South Fremantle are. And there's a team, like I think it was a Colts team or something like that, going around, and it highlights nearly every one of them are like AFL superstars now. So yeah, I can't imagine how big and strong they must have been back in the day. Right, so you're at Warnbro, and you're playing from 10-year-old, and you go through and you're playing, I don't know, whatever the rep sort of stuff was in those sort of days, and then you decide to sort of head up the road to play a bit of Premier cricket, or district cricket as it would have probably been called in those days, Rocky Mandurah. That's where it all started. Now, the funny thing is, and I just want to remind people of the numbers here, because Adam, I'm sure you love when you hear all this sort of stuff. So, played 20 test matches, 31 hits, 1,485 runs, highest score 269 not, 269 not. That was at the home of cricket, wasn't it?
Down at Belrive.
Belrive, was it? Oh, no, that's right. That was the Belrive one. Sorry, I was thinking of the big innings at the WACA against New Zealand, but that was what was that? That was a lot.
No, not quite as many but yeah, probably one of my more favourite ones, the one at the WACA. But no, the one down at Belrive, continued my love affair with that. Well, my love-hate affair with that ground. I've got my highest first-class score at Belrive, but I've also got the most amount of golden ducks at Belrive as well. So,
ducks.
Yeah, it was feast or famine generally down there.
And just to continue, at a batting average of 61.87. So you can very, very happy every single night knowing that's your test batting average. ODIs, now you played 31 games, high score of 112, averaging 45. Your first class career, so that's encompassing everything. And Mate, I tell you what, I've seen some of the, especially now with T20 cricket, and you would have had, you had Fuzzy Ahmed there last year, and he's played at about 8,000 clubs, but you're not too far behind. You've played at a fair few yourself. You played Nottinghamshire, obviously WA, you go on to Middlesex, Hampshire, and then you got your T20 stuff with the Stars. We won't mention that. The Talawas in the CPA Royals. The list goes on and on. Australia A. Anyway, where are we there? We've got 211 matches, 351 hits, 13,881 runs, an average of 46.42. To maintain that average, that is ridiculous. So they're all batting stats. But the funny thing is, and I guess the true Warnbro people and the people that have followed your career through might know this, but what they might not know, batting wasn't your thing when you were a younger player, was it? Really?
No, you're spot on. And I think back to the early stages of my career, and I actually toured with an Australian under-19s team to the UK as a left-arm wrist spinner who batted, I think, 8 or 9 in that team, and that was very much part of my development, particularly early on. And we talk about the times at Warnbro, and then being able to go to I actually played a little bit for Fremantle before Rockingham Mandurah established a district club, and then was lucky enough to come back, play some junior cricket and some second grade with Rockingham, because back in the day that was the teams. There was a second and third grade. There wasn't an A grade team when Rockingham first entered the competition. So, but I was a left arm wrist spinner back then. That was how I made my way through, particularly junior, underage ranks, and got to under 19 level as a predominantly wrist spinner who over between sort of under 19 level, and I made my first class debut at 22 as a batter. So there's a big transition period in those 3 years where I went from getting picked as a bowler to pretty much giving up the wrist spinners. They went fairly pear-shaped and concentrated a bit more on my batting. So it was a pretty I guess rapid change to go from one to the other, but thankfully it all worked out okay.
As a wrist spinner and spin lover, everyone that sort of listens to this, I mention spin every single time, and whenever I say spinner, I get a bit excited. So a bit disappointed there, but we'll leave it there. I think you've sort of made up for it. Just to sort of just to pump up the tires a little bit, because I love doing this. So some of the records that Crick Info sort of come up. So you've got the second highest ever batting average in Test cricket. You obviously got your 100 on debut. You're fifth in the list of Test players for hundreds in consecutive innings, which was 3. You've got the highest partnership for the 4th wicket on record, and that was with this would be interesting because you coach him now, but that's with Sean Marsh. Obviously a teammate, great teammate all the way through, and now you're his coach. But we'll leave it there. You've actually got the 4th best career bowling average without qualifying, though, for T20 International. So you haven't got enough wickets to qualify, but the fact that you've actually bowled means you've got the 4th best T20 bowling average in T20 International. So you can carry that one. And in combined Test, One Day, and T20 Internationals, you are 6th on the list for hundreds in consecutive innings, because you've done that 3 times. So, again, I bet you can sleep a lot better now that you know all that sort of stuff. So now that you're coaching, and you went from like playing to coaching, and within that you went from like a teammate to team leader, I guess, captain to sort of coach. Was that hard, or the boys sort of accepted it and got on with it?
It's a really good question, and I guess when I did finish my playing career, always I guess harboured ambitions to continue in the game, and certainly being a captain at the back end of my career, coaching was something that I probably did a bit more than training. When you're getting to 37, 38, training's not the highest of priorities anymore. So helping the young guys out was something that I really enjoyed doing, and so certainly hope.
Does that mean you skip the 2Ks?
I didn't do a pre-season for the last 5 years of my career, I don't reckon. I was over in England playing, but
Perfect.
yeah, I dodged that as much as I could. But look, I really enjoyed helping the young guys out, and so was hopeful for to be able to transition into coaching, albeit in a much smaller role than how it eventuated. We'd basically agreed that I was going to do some pathway stuff with some of the WA teams, help out with the Scorchers in the Big Bash, and sort of cut my teeth that way. But South Africa happened. JL got called up to become the national coach, and all of a sudden there was a vacancy in the WA and Scorchers role. So jumped in the deep end, put my name forward, and look, the first couple of years were certainly a massive learning curve for me. To go straight out of playing into becoming a head coach, and the role and the responsibilities around that, the relationships with your former teammates, which are now being guided by you. So there was a lot of learning on the job in the first couple of years, and I'd like to think that I'm a different coach now to where I was when I started those 4 years ago. But look, I've loved it. There's certainly some challenging times, and you have to make some tough calls, and that's the tough part of the job, particularly when you have those relationships with the guys that you've played with for a long period of time. So yeah, it's been a huge learning period this last 4 years, and I continue to learn every day. I certainly don't profess to getting it right all the time, but we're lucky. I'm very lucky that I've got some great people around me at the WACA, and the coaching group that we've got at the moment, the high performance staff, our medical team, the administrators, everyone around me makes my job a lot easier. And we've got a wonderful playing group as well. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. There's been certainly some ups and downs over the last 4 years, as you do as a player as well. But yeah, it certainly gives me a greater appreciation and perspective and respect for the sport now, being in the role that I am now.
Yeah, it's an awesome story to think that you've gone from, again, sort of bring it back to, the little boy blue in Warnbro to, coaching the victorious Big Bash team for this team. Big Bash, which one are we up to? Big Bash
11. Yeah.
11. Big Bash 11. To get the Scorchers back to where we should be. And it was fantastic to sort of go away and win that. Now, with the coaching stuff you mentioned there, I mean, you're blessed to have who you've got around you at the moment. I mean, you got the quiet achiever in Big Matty Mason. I mean, he's known worldwide as a bit of a bowling sort of guru, and it's like no one knows in Australia. It's just a bit weird, and he's done some great stuff with the bowling unit, obviously, with the boys. You've also got you've got cricket royalty next to you most times in Old Swampy. We had him down here last night doing a fielding workshop, and he was just back to his usual best, with his 15 catch-it boards and 35 cones and 16 stumps. And yeah, we all know the Swampy sort of sessions. They're great. And then you've got you got Bo Casson, who's the very knowledgeable, great relationship person, fantastic person. Lots of knowledge, lots of skill. You've got, it's just a great coaching lineup. And then there's others obviously sitting around. You've got your your medical support staff as well. You've got, arguably some of the best in, I don't know, not only Australia, they're probably worldwide. And you've experienced some of the different setups worldwide, and be as good as anything, really, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I'm incredibly fortunate, and all those guys that you just mentioned, and you're spot on in their assessment. I think particularly with Bo and Matt, who I've worked really closely with over the last couple of years. They're brilliant. They're brilliant people, and they're brilliant coaches as well. And I think we complement each other really nicely with the skill sets that we bring. And we hopefully create an environment where our players can't help but get better. And that's what we're trying to achieve, is that that focus of, we want to win stuff, we want to win titles, but we also want to produce Australian cricketers. We want to make sure that the depth and health of WA cricket is really strong, and so that we've got a pathway for those young kids who are coming through. And then Swampy is a mentor to me. He's a great mate. He was down at Rockingham last night, as you mentioned, and then I was having coffee with him at 6:30 this morning, because that's Swampy's time. He'll tell you that's half the day's already gone. But we rock up to a fielding session, and I'll normally get there 90 minutes, 2 hours before the session starts, and he's already set up. He's already ready to go, and has seen it and done it all. International cricket, franchise cricket around the world, brings great experience, understands people brilliantly well. So again, and then we've got young Wes Robinson, who's just come on board as well. And I played a lot with Wes. I love Wes's competitiveness. He has proper white line fever, and I love that about him. And he's well drilled, well organised, looking after our pathways at the moment. So it's a great team, and incredibly lucky with the people that I've got around me.
All right, back onto pathways. The locals here, they're going to. Well, they know they've got a favourite son, and someone who been on TV for the last couple of weeks, doing very, very well, in young Teague Wiley. I'm sure you're well aware of his ability and his talent. And then there's another young fella running around here he's super talented as well. And obviously young Corey Wasley. He's obviously taken the world by storm he's a year, at least a year younger than Teague. And then there's numerous others that are they're all just these big behemoth fast bowlers, from a Jai Donald to there's a young one, Albert Esterhuizen, who plays a bit of seconds at Rockingham, but he's massive and bowls quite sharp and hits the ball a long, long way. He's a future Perth Scorchers player. So just note that one down, Adam. But I'm sure you've heard, and you've got the scouts out and about. But there's some really good talent down here.
Yeah, I'm certainly well aware of some of the strong talent, obviously with my ties to Rockingham and the Peel area. I'm always keeping a pretty keen interest as to what's happening down there. It's a funny story. I actually grew up on the same street as Teague Wiley's mum when growing up in Warnbro. His mum lived 5 houses down the road, I reckon. So, and played against Teague's dad, John, in the Peel League. I was pretty young, and he was probably at the back end of his career. But it's funny how you have these connections, and now you see Teague coming through the system. Has played second 11 cricket for us this year, done incredibly well. Has just represented Australia in the under-19s tournament. So I mean, he's incredibly exciting. Corey Wasley has had raps on him. He's as a 15-year-old playing first A-grade cricket, Premier cricket. So there's some really exciting talent coming through the ranks down in Rockingham, and trust me, we certainly are keeping an eye on things. That's why I've got Swamp coming down doing fielding drills to make sure we're not missing anyone down there as well.
And a couple of the kids that were running around on last night there with their arms in particular. Swamp, loves someone with a strong arm, and he was all over a couple of plays there as well, which was good. Okay, and finally, I'm going to wrap this all up with. Well, obviously, one of the highlights of your career. I know you did it as a player, but to do it as a coach in probably this has to be one of the toughest seasons you've ever encountered in your whole life, mate. Well done and winning the Big Bash and bringing that trophy back home where it belongs, because we've won it more than anyone else. How was that?
Yeah, I don't know how long you've got for me to talk about this, but. It was an incredible effort from everyone involved, and the players were outstanding. The way that they galvanised together as a group, were able to overcome all the adversity and the challenges that got thrown at us daily. it's well publicised about our time on the road and being away from home for 50 plus days or whatever it was. But I guess we knew that pretty early on, that we were going to spend an extended period away from home. And I guess COVID taught us a lot of the lessons last season in terms of the restrictions that we'd be under, the lifestyle that we would have to live for a period of time. It doesn't make it any easier, but I guess having a little bit of that experience meant that we knew what we were getting ourselves into. COVID hit our group. We had 6 players go down with COVID throughout the tournament. So I think we had a stretch there of 4 or 5 games where I was getting a phone call either game day or the night before the game saying that someone has got symptoms, we need to test them, we need to find out if they've got COVID, and generally they did. So there were some games I wasn't sure we were going to get a team on the park. The timings of some of our games, we had a 9:45 p.m. start in one of our games in Western Sydney that finished at 1:45 in the morning. We had a 10 a.m. start at Adelaide. We had plenty of challenges. Mitch Marsh spent all of Christmas Day in his hotel room because he was deemed a close contact for COVID and had to get tested, and getting a COVID test on Christmas Day is hard work. And then having guys come in and out through national selection, through injury, our depth got really tested. But I think the thing I'm most proud of, particularly with the playing group, is that everyone stood up at some stage. Everyone contributed. When it was their turn to have a crack and make a contribution, they often did. And Mitch Marsh rightly deserves a lot of the plaudits for the season that he had. But I think we had multiple contributors in most games, and that was a really pleasing bit to see Matt Kelly come in, take his chance, Curtis Patterson come in, take his chance, Nick Hobson, Lance Morris, when they got their opportunities, I thought they were outstanding. I thought Ashton Turner's captaincy and leadership throughout the whole tournament can't be underestimated, and was a huge reason for our success. But also just our
Does
staff.
he ever get rattled, AT? Like, does he ever get rattled? Because he's or is he like a duck? You know, are the feet going underwater, but he's so calm.
He's a pretty calm character. I haven't seen him get rattled too often. I must admit, we had a few phone calls where I was probably giving him bad news about COVID or injury, and he did say to me, "I'm not looking forward to your phone ringing me anymore, because generally I'm giving bad news." But we worked really closely together this year. We announced him as captain at the beginning of the tournament, and I think that gave him real ownership and license to make the team his. And he went from strength to strength. On the field, he's really tactically astute and a really calming influence. Played a match-winning knock at the back end. Found
How
some
good
real
was that?
form with the bat. He's the king of the power surge with the bat. We make sure that he's out there more times than not when that happens, and we win the surge more often than not because of that. So, but yeah, look, it was a whole squad effort. It ranks right up there in terms of we've been lucky enough to win 4 of them now, but it's really hard to go past this one in terms of everything that we've overcome to be able to play our home final at Marvel Stadium and be able to win in those conditions under those circumstances. Very, very proud.
Oh, I'll tell you what, mate. If all things go to plan and we're allowed to have crowds and all that sort of stuff, I tell you what, I think the first game back at Optus Stadium it'll be like so packed. It'll be unbelievable. I think it'll be the biggest crowd I've ever seen. So I think everyone's going to be itching to get out there, and you can really like unfurl the flag like an old footy sort of thing, I reckon, because the Perth public would be desperate to sort of see it and get hold of the trophy and all that sort of stuff. Just finally, before I let you go, because I've taken more time than I said I was going to, you're 2 overseas this year. I mean, they are the pros. I thought that really canny. I mean, Munro obviously had last year, but he's a worldwide pro. He goes around everyone wants him because he just gets it done with his little, I don't know what that's all about, but that's his little thing. But and then Evans as well. Like what a signing that was. I mean, that's the the signing of signings, I reckon, because you can all go the big flash name, but someone who gets the job done. And Jesus, did he get it done in the final?
Yeah, well, I think we've been incredibly lucky with our overseas signings throughout the whole Big Bash, and this year was no exception. Colin Munro, to bring him back was an easy decision. He fit in wonderfully well last year, performed on the field, but he almost feels like a local player because that's the sense that you get from him. He's just one of the boys. He does the kit after he takes a catch, and that's because his kids' names are Chloe and Connor, and it's a symbol to them to make sure that they're watching. It's the last thing his young bloke Connor says to him: "Make sure you do the kit, Dad, if you take a catch." So. But he was brilliant again for us this year. We also had Tymel Mills, who came in, and he was a really late signing for us. We got him at the back end. We identified, obviously, having Jai missing. We thought Jai was going to be involved in the Ashes, and that's part of our list management, I guess, is trying to predict who we're going to have around and potentially not. So to bring T in, he did a wonderful job. He's just a world-class performer who again came and fit in really well with the group. And then Laurie's the one that I've been asked a lot about, and rightly so after that innings in the final. But we sat down at the beginning of our planning for this, and we knew that we were moving Mitch Marsh to 3. He dictated that he was moving to 3, and I had no issues in doing that. So we felt like we wanted someone who could play Mitch's role and bat at 5 or 6, help us finish the innings, bat with Ashton around that sort of power surge time. And we looked around. We always like guys who are available the whole time. We like guys who are experienced, but we also like guys who have got a bit to prove. And I've played against Laurie in county cricket and always thought of him as a really good player who's been on the fringes of England white ball teams, but that's a bloody tough team to get into. So, and his numbers in the last 2 years finishing innings have been really good. So, but we also knew we had the flexibility of a guy who could bat anywhere in the top 6 for us as well. So, it was a punt. Don't get me wrong. The first time I met Laurie was 2 hours before our first game because of border controls and that sort of thing. We literally had 3 of our guys come in and join us 2 hours before the game started. So that was the first introduction, but developed a great relationship with Laurie throughout the tournament. Had his ups and downs. It was a tough tournament away from his family for a long period of time, but geez, he came good at the right time, and that was as good an innings under pressure. And that partnership is that's why we're champions. And for him in particular, but for that partnership to flourish the way that it did was huge.
Yeah, and played the shot of the tournament. That lofted cover drive, that was beauty. That was like he couldn't have hit it any sweeter. That was.
It's funny because he said that. 'Cause Aaron Hardy hit a couple of them as well. Throughout the tournament, and Aaron unfortunately missed out on the final. He was one of our X factors, and Laurie hit that shot, and I sort of said to Aaron, I said, "Oh, pretty good shot, mate. I've seen you do that." He goes, "Yeah, it was a good shot. I did mine first ball, but so." There's some wonderful cricket played, no doubt.
He's got a fair bat too. I reckon that bat is an absolute ripper. I mean there's talent to do it, but Jesus, that just sounded. Yeah. Anyway, it all sort of come together. That's the cricket nuffy in me. Look, Adam, mate, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been amazing seeing how the boys have evolved and how you were able to, in the most difficult time, to get what you got. And now you've got another tough little period trying to finish a Shield season, of which, mate, we're in with a huge shout. So best of luck, fingers crossed, all that sort of stuff. Good luck to yourself and the family. Hope they get out of quarantine very, very soon and you can get back to life. And hopefully we might be able to have a chat with you later on with that big blue shield as well. That'd be pretty good too.
That'd be nice, mate. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the support. And, we've got plenty to play for still. So we're really looking forward to getting stuck back into a bit of training over the next couple of weeks. And then, we've got ourselves into a position where if we can play some good cricket, then hopefully we're competing for a bit more silverware. So that'd be nice.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so thank you very much, Adam Vogt. That's Adam Voges, coach of WA and the victorious Perth Scorchers. But most importantly, a Warnbro boy and a former player within the Peel Cricket Association. You are on the Pavilion, the Peel Cricket Show. We'll be back after this.